Hey everyone, this is Jody again, and today we're going to talk about some of the effects that trauma or stress can have on your life. When I had my miscarriage, I didn't really realize the effects that it would have on me, and I think that deep down inside, I just felt like once I realized how common miscarriages were, that I knew deep down inside I felt like it was a big deal. But a lot of people around me didn't really seem like it was a big deal. And so I just felt like I needed to move on and that it wasn't a big deal. But what I've learned is many years later, I was still suffering from many of the emotional and physical side effects of trauma. And I never really realized that a lot of it stemmed back to when I had my miscarriage. And so I think it's important for us to understand that a miscarriage is trauma. A lot of people suffer PTSD after a miscarriage or a loss of a child. And so you need to understand that the emotional feelings, the physical symptoms that you might be having are real. And it's not just something that you just need to shrug off and act like it's not a big deal, because it is a big deal and you need to be able to process through that. Some of the emotional things that you might find out. The first thing for me was denial. A lot of people will deny what happened or, being angry, obviously sad a lot. All of those are emotions of grief and of dealing with a trauma. So that's all expected. I think a lot of people would understand that. But what I didn't understand was my lack of concentration afterwards. I remember going back to work and I wasn't doing everything spot on. And I did not work at a very family-friendly place at the time. And I remember getting written up because I would forget to write a lesson plan name at the top of my lesson plan. And, just silly little things like that. But I just couldn't concentrate as well as I did before. And I never realized that was part of the trauma that I was going through. Obviously, mood swings we talked about before. One of the big ones for me was anxiety. I've always been an anxious person. Looking back at high school, I was always an anxious person, but I didn't really deal with anxiety. And so it wasn't until years later that I was really fighting anxiety, and I was able to trace it back. I think it was actually Sarah and I talking about how our anxiety had been raised, and I traced it back to it really heightened after my miscarriage. And then I just started realizing how to cope with my anxiety within the past year or two. Another thing that a lot of people will do is feel guilty. And a lot of that will also lead to isolating yourself. You'll push people away for multiple reasons. You might be depressed. You might not want to be around other people because it's hard if they have young kids and you just had a loss. And sometimes you just isolate yourself for multiple reasons. But isolation is also something that you might do. Some of the physical things that often come with it is insomnia. Again, it goes back to, just being upset and things like that will often lead to you not being able to sleep well. Either you have trouble falling asleep because you're reliving everything, or, whatever, you're thinking about stuff, or you wake up in the middle of the night with nightmares, night terrors, anxiety, things like that. That obviously, if you're not sleeping well, often will lead to fatigue. Even if you feel like you're sleeping well, the stress and the emotions that you're carrying with you can often lead to fatigue. A lot of that stress on your body can also lead to pain, joint pain, muscle pain, tension, headaches, all of that. All of these things are a sign of grieving and the trauma that you have gone through. There's many things that you may be going through that stem from the trauma that you have been through. And so I just suggest that you take time to look up, symptoms and effects of trauma in your life. Don't mind my cat. They always come when I'm on video. So just take time. If you find yourself that you're kind of a different person, or even it's been, like I said, 13 years since I had my miscarriage, and it was only like 2 years ago that I realized many of my health problems were stemming all the way back to my miscarriage, and I never really dealt with some of the anxiety and things like that, and I never really processed a lot of things. And so that's a starting point. That's my story. And so I want you to take some time, look up some other topics or some symptoms that you might be going through from trauma, from stress. Feel free to share any information that you find below. All of this is about us learning from one another. Like I said at the beginning, this week is about us learning the basis of the trauma and the effects it can have on us and why we need to take care of ourselves. Because if you aren't taking care of yourself, you're not going to be able to take care of, well, first off, you're not going to be healthy, and then you're not going to be able to take care of others and serve others and to live this life as you were designed to be.